Just a quick lesson on triadic arpeggios and practicing them. Guitarists have a tendency to practice like right hand patterns a lot. You know, like, or like kind of like Giuliani arpeggios and stuff like that. But what about actual arpeggios, like taking the scale degrees 1, 3, 5, and 1. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 1, or C, E, G, C, G, E, C, or 2 octaves. Other musicians on other instruments practice their arpeggios a lot. Like on piano, you practice them right from the very beginning. Guitarists have a tendency not to practice their actual arpeggios in favor of like right hand chord playing, which is also arpeggios, but not exactly triadic arpeggios in order. And it's a problem because it's really avoided so much in guitar playing, and then students come up against it when they end up playing etudes by Carcassonne or Villa-Lobos, for example. There's some intense arpeggio work. Even in some of the earlier pieces by like Mertz and stuff, there's all sorts of like jumps into upper positions using arpeggios. Often by using like simple patterns, like when it's an actual chord that you just go through the chord one note at a time. So you're just arpeggiating like a fixed shape, but it's not always that easy, right? Or A minor. Practicing your triadic arpeggios is really great for your technique because you have to work out a number of technical ideas, which I'll talk about in a second. But it's also just really great for your musical knowledge. Like, you want to be able to do this. If someone says, play me a C major arpeggio, you want to be able to do that. Or even better yet, if they ask for like an A minor arpeggio, don't just grab an A minor chord and go like this, because that's not actually like a fully in order A minor arpeggio, because the order would go A, C, E, A, C, E, A. Not, if you just sweep through the chord, you're going to get A, E, which is the 1 to the 5, so you're skipping the 3. Just because of the way that the guitar is organized, it's not always that easy. Like, we can go across the strings, which makes it more easy because then we can hold a chord form down. But you should just become comfortable just doing it on the fly with open position notes. If you want to change it up and do the first notes closed, there'll be tons of different ways to finger that. You run into fingering problems so quickly on the guitar, but that's exactly what I'm talking about, is that this is really good practice. So utilizing open strings is probably the best idea because that makes jumping the octave a lot easier. Like when you saw me do that, I was trying to finger something on the fly, so I messed up, but that worked better. But that's still a little bit awkward, right? Going from here to the second finger. It's much easier to utilize like slurs and open strings when you're trying to accomplish it, because it is just one note at a time when you're doing like a single note arpeggio. You don't have to sustain them all. So a couple of things to just think about is that you do want to think about your just basic triadic shapes. So if you're doing C major, here's the first 3 notes, C, E, G, or 1, 3, 5. And then here's the next shape, 3, 5, 1. And then 5, 1, 3. And then it's a little bit harder. you're not going to get the full shape when you go up top here, unless you were doing a closed thing, but in order to transition, we must use the open E, then the closed G, C, G, E, C, G, E, C. And in the right hand, it's a whole workout as well. You have to figure out exactly what you're doing over here. I usually sweep the thumb, 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 and then I am a. And then some kind of combination on the way down. Whoops. Same thing in the A minor. Although this is your main A minor shape, you're going to have to include that C. There's your first shape. Your first inversion shape, second inversion shape, and then your upper note, and you'll utilize the E. Same thing in the right hand. I like to sweep the thumb usually. This one's easier because you have a slur in between. And on the top as well, just to avoid kind of awkward exchanges with the hand. Just makes it more practical, right? And if you look at the etudes, the various etudes out there that use arpeggios, such as the Villalobos one, there's going to be lots of slurs involved in your arpeggios. So it's a great mental workout, and it's a great technical workout because it really makes you solve some issues in your playing, like particularly in the right hand, I think, but also in the left hand. The only thing I'll say is that you can get really bogged down quickly with the amount of shapes on the guitar because there's so many ways to do these. You can do them closed up here, you can do them open, there's so many different ways. Jazz players know their arpeggios really, really well because they're always improvising using arpeggios, and so they'll know their closed shapes really, really well. Classical players have a tendency to connect them more to reading, but I really recommend that you just do this without music. You just learn your basic triadic shapes in root position, first inversion and second inversion, and then just practice them just based on the letter names, and you can do them all over the guitar. Wherever you think you can do them, practice them. And you'll become more familiar with the guitar, more familiar with your technique, and you won't be doing it out of some book. You'll be actually like really self-exploring and seeing how much you understand how the guitar works. So this summer, check out your triadic arpeggios and play around with them until you work out some of those issues, and then you can just integrate them into your technique practice.